There is a force more powerful than talent, stronger than education, more valuable than money, connections, or circumstance. It cannot be inherited. It cannot be bought. And it cannot be faked. It is the unshakable mindset. And once it's forged, the world no longer happens to you. It begins to bend for you. Because when the mind is anchored, storms become noise. When the mind is focused, obstacles become instruments. And when the mind is aligned with purpose, truly locked in, then even the impossible begins to obey. History was written not by the strongest, not by the wealthiest, but by those who refused to fold. Edison failed thousands of times, and yet kept showing up to the lab. Lincoln lost more elections than he won, but he never lost belief in the mission. Oprah, rejected, ridiculed, doubted, but never derailed. They didn't survive because life was kind. They rose because the mind was decided. You must decide who will command your thoughts. Will it be the world, with its fear and noise and fleeting trends? Or will it be you, with a vision, locked jaw, and iron spirit? Most people live like leaves in the wind, blown by news, by opinions, by what others think of them. But not you. Not anymore. Because once the mind locks in, once it becomes unshakable, you no longer react to life. You direct it. But let's be honest, this mindset doesn't come easy. It is not given. It is earned. In the hours you don't want to get up, but do. In the days when doubt creeps in like a fog, and you cut through it anyway. In the moments you're laughed at, underestimated, pushed aside, and you respond, not with noise, but with relentless forward motion. That's where the power lives. See, belief is not a feeling. Belief is a decision. A war you fight in the silence, every day, because the world will test you. Circumstances will try to shake you. People will try to define you. But your mind? It is yours. And when you protect it, feed it, fortify it, it becomes the engine that makes the impossible inevitable. But you must guard it like a vault. You cannot plant power and water it with poison. You cannot talk about vision and surround yourself with fear. You cannot dream of greatness and live on a diet of distraction. Your mind becomes what it is fed. So feed it truth. Feed it clarity. Feed it fire. That means eliminating the noise. That means saying no when it's unpopular. That means choosing solitude over shallow connection. That means replacing the scroll with the study, the binge with the build. And above all, it means choosing discipline over emotion. Because the mind that cannot obey its own command is a mind enslaved. But the mind that obeys a mission, that mind becomes immortal. Look around you. How many have fallen not from lack of ability, but from lack of control? How many had the gift, but not the grit? How many had the desire, but not the discipline? That is the dividing line. And once you cross it, there's no going back. Not because you have to, but because you refuse not to. You are not here to be average. You are not here to simply exist. You are here to bend reality with the strength of a single decision. My mind is mine, and nothing will move it. That's the creed of builders, of creators, of warriors of vision. So rise. Decide. Lock in. This is your war to win. When you build an unshakable mind, you stop negotiating with weakness. You stop making excuses for average. You stop entertaining the opinions of those who never dared to chase what you are building. You no longer live on default. You live on decision. Because clarity is a weapon. And those who wield it walk differently. They don't chase trends. They set them. They don't flinch when doors close. They build their own halls, their own tables, their own path. You can spot someone with a forged mindset from across the room. It's in their stillness, their presence, the quiet confidence that says, I don't need to convince you. I am the proof. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. They are not guessing. They are not hoping. They have seen the vision, felt it, lived it in their mind, and now reality is simply catching up. That's what mindset does. It reverses the current. It turns the inner world into a compass for the outer world. When Napoleon Hill said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve, he wasn't giving you a pretty phrase. He was delivering a law that every titan of history has obeyed, whether they realized it or not. Walt Disney conceived a world no one had ever seen and believed in it so completely, people called him insane. Now the world stands in line to enter his imagination. Carnegie saw beyond the dirt-stained factories to the vision of steel cities rising, and nothing could stop him, not competition, not skepticism, not his own lack of formal education. They weren't smarter. They weren't luckier. They were certain. And certainty doesn't come from the world. It comes from the mindset that dares to own the vision before the world understands it. Most people wait for approval. You must move without it. Most people wait for signs. You must be one. Because this world does not hand power to those who wait. It hands it to those who claim it with conviction, those who look at the impossible and whisper, "Watch me." But that mindset is not given on day one. It is carved in the fire of resistance. You build it when the bank account is low, but your standards remain high. You build it when you get knocked flat and still choose to rise again and again and again with a grin. Not because it's easy, but because you've made a decision deeper than pain, deeper than fear, deeper than logic. I will not stop. I will not fold. This mind is mine. And the moment that decision becomes your identity, you change the game. Because discipline is no longer forced, it becomes natural. Focus is no longer effort. It becomes your default. Purpose is no longer something you seek. It becomes the air you breathe. Everything aligns behind the mind. Even the body begins to follow. Watch how posture changes when someone believes in themselves. Watch how tone shifts when someone speaks from purpose. Watch how energy moves through the room when someone walks and fully committed to who they are. It is unshakable. It is magnetic. It is unstoppable. And it is yours if you want it badly enough to fight for it. But know this. This mindset cannot coexist with the habits of your old self. You will have to kill the laziness. You will have to bury the distractions. You will have to silence the inner critic and train the inner general. The one that says, "Get up, show up, lock in, no matter what." That voice must become louder than every doubt, every delay, every excuse. Because your life will rise or fall with the strength of your inner dialogue. And if you let that voice slip, if you let it start negotiating, start reasoning with weakness, your vision will begin to decay. But if you train it, if you feed it, if you command it, you become limitless. Not because you'll never fail, but because failure becomes your fuel. Not because life won't test you, but because your mindset won't flinch. It hands it to those who claim it with conviction, those who look at the impossible and whisper, "Watch me." But that mindset is not given on day one. It is carved in the fire of resistance. You build it when the bank account is low, but your standards remain high. You build it when you get knocked flat and still choose to rise again and again and again with a grin. Not because it's easy, but because you've made a decision deeper than pain, deeper than fear, deeper than logic. I will not stop. I will not fold. This mind is mine. And the moment that decision becomes your identity, you change the game. Because discipline is no longer forced, it becomes natural. Focus is no longer effort. It becomes your default. Purpose is no longer something you seek. It becomes the air you breathe. Everything aligns behind the mind. Even the body begins to follow. Watch how posture changes when someone believes in themselves. Watch how tone shifts when someone speaks from purpose. Watch how energy moves through the room when someone walks and fully committed to who they are. It is unshakable. It is magnetic. It is unstoppable. And it is yours if you want it badly enough to fight for it. But know this. This mindset cannot coexist with the habits of your old self. You will have to kill the laziness. You will have to bury the distractions. You will have to silence the inner critic and train the inner general. The one that says, "Get up, show up, lock in, no matter what." That voice must become louder than every doubt, every delay, every excuse. Because your life will rise or fall with the strength of your inner dialogue. And if you let that voice slip, if you let it start negotiating, start reasoning with weakness, your vision will begin to decay. But if you train it, if you feed it, if you command it, you become limitless. Not because you'll never fail, but because failure becomes your fuel. Not because life won't test you, but because your mindset won't flinch. Not because everything will go to plan, but because no plan is stronger than your will. So dig in. Decide. Declare war on mediocrity. This isn't just motivation. This is mental warfare. And the first battle is always one within. There's a reason most people don't rise. It's not that they lack potential. It's that they surrender control of the most powerful weapon they'll ever own, their mind. They let emotions steer. They let past failures speak. They let temporary storms dictate a permanent identity. But you're not most people. You've felt something deeper. You've tasted the clarity that comes when the mind no longer begs for permission, but commands direction. You've glimpsed the version of you that doesn't flinch at resistance, but welcomes it like iron welcomes flame. Because the fire doesn't destroy steel, it defines it. And the struggle doesn't weaken the mind, it awakens it. Every setback is an invitation. Every delay, a sharpening. Every failure, a whisper. Keep going. You're being forged. And that's the difference. Most chase comfort, you chase growth. Most avoid pain, you endure it, knowing that purpose often wears the mask of hardship. Do you think greatness comes wrapped in ease? No. It shows up in the form of sweat, of sacrifice, of seasons where you have every reason to quit, and you still don't. That's what separates the temporary from the timeless. And once you realize that every challenge is a test of your mind, you stop taking things personally and start taking things purposefully. You begin to say, this isn't happening to me. It's happening for me. This isn't a delay. It's design. This isn't failure. It's feedback. Because an unshakable mindset doesn't need the world to change. It becomes the change. It doesn't ask for easy roads. It becomes a relentless traveler. It doesn't wish for a lighter load. It builds a stronger back. That's what discipline does. That's what vision does. That's what purpose does. It rewires the mind until discomfort becomes familiar and victory becomes inevitable. But hear this clearly. The unshakable mind is not blind optimism. It is not delusion. It is not pretending everything is fine when it's not. It is standing in the storm, soaking wet, eyes open, heart racing, and still saying, I will not bow. I will not break. I was built for this. Because deep down, you know something they don't. That pressure reveals what comfort conceals. Pressure strips away the weak parts. Pressure crushes the ego. Pressure reveals the cracks, and then it dares you to fill them with fire. And if you do, if you keep showing up, if you master your response to life's fiercest winds, you become something that cannot be shaken. Not by rejection, not by failure, not by fear, not by the small minds who never understood your hunger. You don't move with the crowd, you move with conviction. In conviction, it doesn't scream. It walks. It builds. It returns to the work when no one is watching. It smiles in silence, knowing that greatness is not announced, it is revealed. That's the truth. You don't need more hype. You need more discipline. You don't need more followers. You need more follow-through. Because the unshakable mind doesn't ask, what if it doesn't work? It declares, I'll make it work, or I'll die trying. That kind of mindset terrifies mediocrity. It repels complacency. It commands results, not because the world owes it anything, but because it refuses to leave without impact. So stop looking outside for validation. You are the source, the architect, the force. Everything you need is already inside, waiting to be unleashed, waiting to be owned, waiting for you to step up and say, this is my time. This is my season. This is my mindset, and it will not break. You see, there comes a moment in every life where the question shifts. From what do I want, to who must I become? Because dreams are not granted to the person you are today. They are calling you toward the person you were meant to become. And that person, that future version of you, they do not negotiate with procrastination. They do not flirt with distractions. They do not delay destiny for the comfort of the couch or the illusion of someday. They act relentlessly, deliberately, decisively, because they understand something sacred, that every day is a vote. Every choice is a chisel. Every habit is either constructing your masterpiece or your excuse. You don't build an unshakable mindset in a moment. You build it in the hours the world will never see, in the quiet battles, in the choices made when no one's watching, in the sweat poured when the crowd is gone and only the mission remains. That's when it's earned. It's built in the morning when the alarm rings, and you rise, even when your body begs for more sleep. It's built when the goal feels miles away, and yet, you show up like it's already done. It's built in the gym, in the journal, in the late-night grind, in the rejection emails, in the tears held back, because your spirit is bigger than your circumstance. Action. That is the language of the unshakable. Not talk. Not vision boards that collect dust. Movement. Forward. Now. Because momentum silences fear. Discipline crushes doubt, and aligned action makes the future bend in your direction. But you must get brutally honest with yourself. What are you tolerating? Where have you been playing small? What comforts have become cages? What habits are keeping you on the wrong side of your potential? You cannot conquer what you refuse to confront. You must audit your environment, audit your standards, audit your inner circle. If it doesn't feed your vision, it is stealing from it. If it doesn't sharpen your mind, it is dulling your edge. If it doesn't align with where you're going, it doesn't deserve to stay. You owe that to yourself. You owe that to the legacy you're building. You owe that to the younger version of you who dreamed of this life. And to the older version of you who will one day look back and ask, did I show up? Did I give everything? Because life isn't asking for perfection. It's asking for ownership. Radical, relentless, unapologetic ownership. That's what an unshakable mind does. It doesn't wait for the perfect mood or ideal conditions. It creates conditions. It manufactures certainty. It becomes the thermostat, not the thermometer. It sets the tone. It sets the pace. It commands the outcome. And make no mistake, when you build that level of mindset, people will notice. Not because you told them, because you became it. Your energy will speak before your words do. Your consistency will inspire without a single speech. Your presence will shift rooms, not from arrogance, but from alignment. Because there's something magnetic about someone who knows who they are, who walks in purpose, who doesn't need applause to keep moving. And you are becoming that person. Every time you rise when it's hard, every time you choose growth over comfort, every time you walk away from what's easy and toward what's yours. It's not about motivation. It's not about hype. It's about identity. You are no longer trying to become the person. You are becoming the person through your choices, through your mindset, through your refusal to let the world define your worth. Because deep down, you've already decided. I was not born to break. I was born to build. And now we arrive at the edge where most people turn back, where comfort whispers one last time, where fear takes its final shot, where the voice inside says, maybe you've done enough. But you know better. You didn't come this far for almost. You didn't bleed for someday. You didn't sacrifice pieces of yourself just to settle where it's safe. No, you came to conquer the full distance between your potential and your reality. You came to take the throne inside your own soul. This is where the few are separated from the many, where the hungry keep climbing, where the obsessed keep building, where the uncommon push past the breaking point and find breakthrough. Because the truth is this: you are not here to merely survive. You are here to dominate your lane, to walk in such purpose that even your footsteps echo with destiny, to become so rooted in who you are, so certain of what you're building, that no storm, no loss, no failure, no betrayal can bend your spine. You are unshakable not because life is easy, but because you've made your mind harder than anything life could throw at you. You've stared down your demons. You've rewritten your story. You've carried the weight no one saw, healed wounds no one clapped for, and still chose to rise like fire through the ashes. That is your power, and it's time the world felt it. But listen, this is bigger than you now. Because the moment your mind becomes unshakable, your life becomes a lighthouse. People watch how you move, how you handle pressure, how you breathe when the world is on fire. And they say, if they can do it, maybe I can too. This is legacy, not in the form of buildings or bank accounts, but in the form of impact. You leave behind not just what you built, but who you became. Not just what you achieved, but who you inspired. And that ripple is eternal, but only if you go all the way. So don't you dare stop now. Don't you dare let your past define your ceiling. Don't you dare water down your vision to fit the comfort of others. Burn the ships. Kill the doubt. Feed the dream until it roars. Let your discipline roar louder than distractions. Let your commitment outlast every excuse. Let your story be a monument to what's possible when a human being decides, truly decides. Nothing can shake me. Nothing can stop me. I am becoming everything I was born to be. So stand tall, not because everything is perfect, but because you're walking in purpose. Stand tall, not because it's easy, but because your mind is no longer controlled by what's outside of you. Stand tall, because today, you are not waiting to be chosen. You have chosen yourself. And there is nothing more powerful than a soul who's made that decision. A soul on fire. A soul that cannot be bought, broken, or bent. A soul whose mind is clear, whose will is forged, whose spirit is unshakable. So go, with all your fire, with all your fight, with every ounce of clarity and conviction in your bones. Because this is not just about success. This is about becoming the kind of person no one saw coming. And everyone will remember